Back here on Big 12 Radio, this is Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. We are presented by Modelo, and we are excited right now to be joined by the head football coach for the Arizona Wildcats, Brent Brennan, joining us here on Big 12 Radio. Coach, how are you? How's your spring going?
Oh, it's going great, man. Obviously, it's been an exciting time around here with the run our, Tommy Lloyd and our men's basketball team made to the Final Four last weekend. So that's been really exciting. And then for us on the football side, we've got a great off season and we're 7 days into spring practice. So we're just kind of attacking it every day. A lot of fun, a lot of new faces. It's been great.
Yeah, how close do you and Tommy work, knowing both of you a little bit? You're both, very similar, genuine guys. I'm sure you're always looking for an edge in some way. So how have you helped Tommy? How does Tommy help you?
I think Tommy's been great to me. You know what I mean? I think that's one of those things that I think is really cool. I think, football and basketball, working together, representing the university on a high level. Just really, he's a great university guy. He's a great leader for our athletic department. He's also a real Tucson guy. So like, I just think that part of it is really, really cool. I'm, in a lot of similar ways. I love being here. I love the U of A. I love Tucson. So we're having a great time together. He's a really good dude. We have a lot of fun together, and we do as much as we can to support each other's teams.
Are you also a Beastie Boys guy?
Of course, man. You can't be. I don't think you can be my age and not be a Beastie Boys guy. There's something wrong with you if you don't.
What's your favorite Beastie song?
Oh, that's a good question. Gosh, rhyming and stealing. I think.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a deep track too. That's a good one.
I think
Um,
that would be it.
yeah. All right. So 4-8 year one, 9-4 year two. So a dramatic turnaround. What changed? What was different? And maybe time was the greatest differentiator.
Yeah, I think we were just able to settle in a little bit with the job. I think we definitely when we got hired here, everything was moving fast and furious. Retention of players, non-retention, transfer portal, the portal created by Jed, then the post-spring ball portal, and kind of fighting through that uneasy time. I've said it a bunch, over the last year. I think that first year we were just begging everybody to stay. And I just think it was a bad kind of foundation to build a football program on. And really, when we came out of that first season, we just boiled it down to we want guys that love the U of A, that love football, and who want to be here. And that was a good starting point for us with last year's team.
Well, one of those guys is Noah Fafita, coming off a great season, and it's maybe surprising for some to find out that this is going to be this just the first time in his college career to have the same offensive coordinator in back-to-back years. What stands out to you about Noah?
Oh shit, there's so many things. This young man is special in every way, and I think we're incredibly fortunate at the U of A to have a Heisman caliber candidate returning at quarterback with this team. Just he's been raised by incredible people. His parents, Les and Winona, are just outstanding. Now we have his little brother playing linebacker for us, and he's a stud. But Noah's one of those guys who shows up every day for everybody else. He's incredibly unselfish. He doesn't ask for anything in return. He loves to be coached. He loves to learn. He's not afraid to lead. He's not afraid. He's incredible in the community. I mean, I don't know how many first team all conference quarterbacks are still coaching the same, next level flag football team they started coaching when they were a freshman, but Noah does.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he wins it every year. He wins the whole thing every year. It's so funny. It doesn't surprise any of us that know him, but he's an outstanding human being. I love him. I'm so glad he's an Arizona Wildcat, and we're so fortunate that he continues to choose Tucson, continues to choose U of A, continues to choose this program and this team.
Has he been like to you, like, hey, we run some of this stuff at the flag football level, like maybe we should implement it here? Has he tried to like get you to run some of his plays?
No, no, he's not like that. Oh, but it is really fun. I think when you have a mature player like Noah, the conversations between him and our coaching staff are really high level, and that's a lot of fun. And I think it's also a great example for our other quarterbacks in the room because they can sit there and look at him and they all want to be all conference. They all want to be play on the level of consistency that Noah is. And so it's great having him in there to show them how to prepare, how to learn, how to be coached, how to attack practice, how to attack the off season. That he is really special.
You guys played a brand of football that wins in the Big 12. You were physical, you ran the ball well, and you defended, especially in the secondary. And I'll ask you about that coming up. But starting a new season, how do you sort of reestablish that physical presence and identity?
Well, I think it speaks to, just, how hard we attack the off season. I think your toughness is built in the weight room. And I know Coach Carroll and that strength staff does an incredible job building that. And our players have been fantastic attacking that part of it. And then does it translate into spring practice and how much physicality can we get in spring practice while still protecting our team and making good choices about who's out there. But, that's one of those things that's kind of an everyday choice for us, how we structure practice, what's going to be physical, what's going to be teach, what's going to be full speed, all those things. And so far, we're off to a great start that way. Obviously, we have a lot of good players that we need to replace, but we've also got a core of good players who have an understanding what red line looks like and what the standard is here.
Yeah, have you taken and fielded calls from NFL executives about Dalton Johnson and Genesis Smith and Trey Dance Dukes?
Sure, like tons and tons and tons. I mean, we're so excited about those guys and just kind of how they performed at the combine. I'm one of those guys that believes that their film in the Big 12 speaks for itself. Their film
Sure,
over their careers
totally.
speaks for itself. They are so productive and they are such great dudes. And, that part of it is really, really neat. And I know those guys all did a great job at the combine. They did a great job with their interviews. They've done a great job, at the pro day here. So I think we're going to be really excited. We're going to be really excited for them, and they're going to be really excited on draft day.
Yeah, the eye in the sky does not lie, they say. So
That's right.
probably a good idea to be looking at that film. I mean, your secondary, to me, was the backbone of the success of the team last year because of not just how physical they were, but also their ability to generate turnovers. They were relentless. How do you get that again with a new group?
No, absolutely. We got a lot of guys we need to get up to speed there. But we feel great about some of the pieces that we've added. And I think, I have faith in Coach Viney. I have faith in Coach RC. And then, just overall schematically, I know Danny G is going to put us in a good spot to play good defense. And so the players believe in it. And, as long as our effort is there and we have a great understanding of what we're trying to do schematically, I think we'll be able to execute at a high level.
Is there a specific profile you're looking for at corner specifically or in your secondary?
I mean, I would like to say if you're a Top Gun fan, it's classified. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. Um, no, but
I
no,
mean,
but
I think I could guess some of the profile, right? I mean, you're looking for long, lanky corners.
no, no, but I think the corners that we played with last year, both of them were 5'11" dudes,
Yeah,
right?
true.
But they can run and they're physical and they're not afraid to tackle. And I think that's we're also excited to see what Michael Dansby does on the next level because at the end of the year he was
Yeah.
playing fantastic football at corner, and then we have we're excited that Javion Cole is returning. So there's a lot of good stuff there. With like what those guys did a year ago, but also what they showed the younger players that were in the program, how to go about their business and how to execute at a high level, how to communicate there in the back end, which is so, so important. And Dalton and Stukes and Genesis were tremendous at that. I mean, absolutely incredible with their on the field communication. And that was something that, even people that were new to us on the staff, that they went through a walkthrough, on the morning of a game day or a recruit that was on an official visit. And the communication in that walkthrough, on game day, like the coaches that have been there, recruits, their parents, they were blown away by just the level of communication, how assertive and
Mm.
quick and efficient it was. And I think that's one of the reasons that we really played good football.
How important is it to hit the portal with a plan? We've been talking a ton about that, and obviously it's front and center now for basketball, but I don't think it's any different than football in terms of, not just being somebody that collects good players or measurables, but has a specific plan in mind with the types of players they're looking for.
Well, I think the interesting part about that is it changes so much every year, right? Because you get to the end of the season and you don't really know
Mm.
what's coming back, like who's going to leave, who's going to stay, right? You hope they all stay. And we've been really, really, really fortunate that way with most of our high level players choosing to stay. And so we feel good about that. But it is challenging because it is different. And, my hope is here at the University of Arizona that we can continue to use the portal to like fit in holes that we feel like we need help
Mm.
at. I really hope that we can be a program when we were just talking about Stukes and Dalton and Genesis, right? Those guys are all 3, 5, and 6 year players, that even though they weren't always in the same system, they were in the same place. And their social circle didn't change. They had some coaching changes, sure, but they also had a great understanding of what college football is. And I think, the portal stuff, the thing that's good and bad about it is, yes, this might be an opportunity for a young man to make some more money, which I totally support and agree with. But at the same time, there's a trade-off there. And they might lose a little bit of the continuity. They might lose a social environment that was healthy for them. They might lose a team, culture that was really, really positive for their development. They just don't, they don't know if they keep, changing
Yeah.
universities. So, like my hope is that as we look at the portal and as we continue to build this program at the U of A, is that we can have high school kids that grow and develop in our program, in our culture with this team. And that gives us, a foundation of good players that's ready to play the kind of football we want to play.
Speaking of the portal, I love what you guys did when we ranked the best portal additions by position. Arizona routinely showed up. And to me, it's a good balance of guys that have produced at this level. Malcolm Hartzog, a Nebraska guy that's produced the Big Ten. He's had some injury issues, but when he's been on the field, he's been very productive. Cole Rusk, another guy. But then you also, you weren't shy about going into the group of five with Cam Chappa and Tyrese Boss. So I'm hoping you could just shed some light on, again, some of these guys that you brought in and are now participating in spring.
It's interesting. I think the portal thing is so unique because the courtship is very, very short, right? It is, you
Speed
know,
dating.
yeah, it really is. You get to know a kid. He comes on a 24-hour visit. And for us and our staff and our players, it's really how does it feel with having those guys around? How do they feel? How do
Mm.
they vibe with our team? How do they vibe with our coaching staff? What's the interaction like between me and them and their family? What's that interaction like with our coaches when they talk football? Like those are all the things that we're trying to assess in terms of the fit. And if it's a good fit, we don't care where they came from. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. There's good football players everywhere. Just look on any NFL roster. They're from all over, every school, every level. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to find the guys that are the best fits for Arizona football, the best fits for our culture, the best fits for our team.
Week in, as you mentioned at the start, in spring football, have you evolved over the years and you're thinking about how to handle spring football, and what do you look to get out of spring football?
I think everybody is evolving, in this profession, especially with the way the rules and the
Yeah.
everything is changed so much, since I became a head coach, 9 years ago. I think looking at spring practice, I think there's different considerations because the reality is you do have a significant investment on the field practicing. And so I do think you need to be smart about what you do, but you also need to get good at football. You need to get good schematically. Everybody needs technical development, and so there is a lot goes into that. A lot of conversation with your strength staff, your training staff, your coaching staff. Hey, how do we best use this time to get our team ready to play the kind of football we want to play? And it is tricky. It's not an easy answer. I don't think there's no cookie cutter way to do it. You know what I mean? But I feel like
Yeah.
we've had great work. We're halfway through spring practice. Our players are attacking the work. We're having fun out there. We're getting after each other. It's been a lot of fun. So I'm optimistic, and I think I'm optimistic about our plan and how we're approaching spring ball. But I think it's definitely evolving. I think everyone's changed. I mean, look at how spring games have changed so
Yeah.
much in the last 5 years versus what they were before. I think that's
Yeah.
just a reality of kind of the state of college football right now.
Well said. Last one, and that's back to Fafita here, who is such a unique person and talent, and you see it every day. I've been able to see it a little bit from afar, but he really is a unique person. What's the next step in for him? How does he get to becoming an NFL quarterback? What are the things he needs to do this year to prove that he could be an NFL quarterback?
I think he needs to just keep on the path that he's on, which has really been, constant development throughout the course of his career. I think those, at that position, that the more you play,
Yeah.
the more snaps you take, they stack, they accrue, right? And that experience I think it's going to help him continue to be a great decision maker, continue to be able to make the throws he needs to make. And I think the one thing about Noah is don't doubt him. Don't doubt that young man. People have been doubting him all his life, and all he does is keep kicking ass every time he steps on the field. And that's why we love him.
Yeah. That block A, man, it's been all over the place. The Final Four, 9 wins for Arizona football. Arizona tennis is on a heater right now. It's they're rocking and rolling in Tucson. Brent Brennan, thank you so much for taking some time for us. Be well. Take care.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. Bear down.
And thank you to Brent Brennan, the Arizona football coach, for joining us in our spring caravan tour. We were able to visit with 14 of the 16 head football coaches in the Big 12. And excited to visit with all 16 of them in just a few months at Media Days. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.